What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants or Us. As always, with me is my co-host here on Rants or Us, Lance. On audio, say hi, Lance.
Hey guys.
Alright, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We hope you guys will help us get there. Alright, so WandaVision, Episode 5. What did you think?
I'm really excited about this show now. I'm really starting to get into it now. Like the first few episodes, I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe I'm having to watch this crap." You know?
I know, I get it. I get it.
But I'm really getting into it, and just
You know, when it came to episode 1 of this show, I was like, okay, I don't know, I don't get any of this. Like, it was so unlike anything I was expecting off the MCU. Now I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I expect out of the MCU now from going forward. These kind of like mystery shows like this that, that the plot just a little bit, just goes a little bit further, as each episode
the plot
goes.
thickens.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that I was big on Marvel series after episode 1, but now as the series has progressed, I've really realized that, hey, you know what? Marvel could really be successful at this. Like,
Yeah, and I thought
they
that
could grow the MCU this way.
And I think they hit a gem with WandaVision. Like,
I think they did too.
At first I was like, why are they starting with this? Like, come on, man. Y'all should have. You're trying to get your feet wet when it comes to episodic TV, and this is what you start with.
Yeah,
but as it's progressed, I'm like you. I'm like, I really see a lot of good things with it, and I'm honestly excited to be. I'm excited for every episode. I have been that way since episode 3.
Yeah. I mean,
So I'm really excited for next Friday.
I don't have as many questions this go around as what overall questions as what I did in the past. But I'm probably the thing that I keep going back to and not understanding is how is Agnes not under Wanda's control? Now that we know that Wanda is probably the main antagonist of this, I'm
still like I was in the previous video we did about this. I still, like I said, she's not fully in control.
Like, do you think it's Mephisto? Do you think it's Hydra? Who do you think is like the main person behind it? Do you think she's being possessed or hypnotized or forced into a position?
I don't know. I don't know if that's what it is or if they just have something over her.
Well, see, I kind of felt like in the middle of this episode where Director Hayward, you had Jimmy Woo and you had Darcy and all them. They're talking. And then they're like, well, we're not, and I want to say Geraldine, but Captain Rambo, or is it Captain Rambo? Is that what, or Detective Rambo?
Yeah, like Captain Monica Rambo.
But she's talking. She's like, I don't know if she is like the main villain in all this. And then that Director Hayward just comes out and says, well, you see, she broke into this, and it shows her breaking into it, and. That shield
still in Vision's body. Yeah.
So I mean,
now that is,
that was suspicious to me.
That was to me too, and I think they're like we talked previously. I think they're setting him up to be part of Hydra.
Yeah, I am. I think he is going to use. He's either Hydra is either in control
and the
of
reason,
what is going on, or either
one
they're
of the
trying
reasons,
to use it to their benefit.
One of the reasons I don't think it's all Wanda is when the kids find the dog and they decide they're gonna let them keep the dog, and then the dog dies, and they're wanting her to use her powers to bring it back to life. And she's like, we can't defy death like that, no matter just because we're sad about something. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so why was it okay for you to do that with Vision, but not with the dog? So that's one thing. One reason I'm thinking she didn't have full control over even bringing Vision back.
And does the children and see? Yes, I I will agree with you on that. But what really kind of confused me is, do the children know about that? Because they acted like they knew exactly about it, and it seems like Wanda isn't trying to really hide anything at this point. Like, she's just being very open. You see it the
Not
way
anymore.
she's
You know,
showing Agnes
her,
her powers and
yeah, her and
things.
Vision. You know, Vision even calls her out on that. She's like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" She's like, "Well, she didn't even notice that the twins had aged up." I'm like, "She
Mm-hmm.
noticed because she was like up on the counter, like kids. You can't control them no matter how hard you
Yeah.
try." And that was something that was kind of. I'm like, "Whoa, what
Or
was
when
that
she,
about?" You know?
or when she comes in there, she's like, "Oh, I'm good with kids," and Vision's like, "Oh, well, I don't know," and then she just like pauses and she's like, "Well, should we stop the scene or something like that?" And I go back out and we do it again, and Vision's like,
Yeah,
"What the
yeah.
heck is going on here?" Like,
What was that about? Yeah.
yeah, and I kind of felt like, of course, then Vision finds that message from Darcy, on the computer, and is
Yeah,
reading it.
I'm wondering, like, if Darcy somehow knew how to, they know he's mostly machine. Maybe
Yeah,
she knew how to send that message directly to
yeah,
Vision somehow, and that's how they showed him finding it. And if Wanda was in control of that, she wouldn't have wanted him to find that message.
yeah, and I
So she
kind
would
of
have stopped that.
yes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I almost kind of wonder how they managed to get that message even through, or if it was
Past
just kind of like an
whoever's controlling
accident
it.
too. But I mean,
Yeah.
when Vision finds
Now,
out
one
from,
thing,
go ahead.
yeah, one thing I wanted to, ask you and discuss is, as much as we probably don't want it to happen, yeah, I feel like Brie Larson is going to make an appearance here because they've referenced
Mm.
Captain Marvel a few times, and I'm like, oh,
I
I
think they
don't know
have to
about that,
now.
Yeah, I think at this point they kind
Yeah,
of have to, and
yeah.
I'm like, I'm wondering what kind of role she's going to have. I'm wondering what is the issue between her and Monica Rambeau? Did
Hmm.
she do something that caused um, Rambo's mom to get cancer or die,
Yeah.
or
Or is she mad because
uh,
she didn't show up when her mom was dying? Or
or is
or
she
is she blame
mad,
her some way?
or is she mad because she didn't stop Thanos
Thanos,
before
yes.
she disappeared, and she didn't get to spend
But
those
see,
last moments with her
yeah.
mom because she was gone when Thanos snapped his fingers.
But see,
Like,
I didn't understand any of that reference where they're talking about, we didn't know that Wanda could do these kind of things, and they were kind of referencing what we
I
were
didn't.
all kind
Okay,
of thinking,
I
anyways.
I like Scarlet Witch, and I do realize that
Yeah.
she is a very very powerful
Hmm.
Marvel character. But I did kind of have a small issue with Captain Rambeau honestly believing that she could have put an end to Thanos single handedly.
Yeah, I did too. And then they kind of
Like,
brought in that Captain Marvel was, could have handled that situation too. And I'm like, how does these people know this? Was this being videotaped? Like, I mean, I just want to know exactly how they know so much about what went on within that fight.
I just, yeah. See, I'm really interested in the, because you saw how Rambo reacted when every time they brought up Captain Marvel,
Hmm.
and so I'm really interested in how they're going to spin that
Yeah.
and why she's like that, because clearly in the Captain Marvel movie you saw how much that little girl looked up to
Yes. Yes.
Captain Marvel. So
And you know that they're going to have to do something about that because, like I said, I was
yeah,
not thinking that they were going to bring her back. But I feel like now after those comments that happened during this episode, I feel like they have no choice now. They have to bring her back, just like they had to bring
absolutely.
Pietro back. Wanda's brother. Like I felt like
Yeah,
after what went on with
I
Geraldine, they
kind of
had to bring him back.
I kind of feel like whoever is in control of this brought him in to kind of, I don't know, teach the twins how to control and how to really tap into their full capabilities of their powers, so that whoever is controlling this can use those twins for their personal agenda.
Did you did it irk you
I
that they
felt like
brought
the
in
whole
the Quicksilver from X Men and not the Quicksilver from Of course, the Marvel movies. Did it bother you any that they brought in that guy instead of the other one? Or
Actually,
is that something?
no, not to me because I actually like the actor that plays him.
See, I enjoyed the one that was in the MCU movies a lot more than I enjoyed the one that was in the X-Men movies. But I'm not really a big fan of the X-Men movies anyway. So like, I was kind of like, why him? Why did they have to do that? But again, they're just trying to show. I don't know. I don't know this weird world where things are happening. I wanted to say, well, they wanted to show Wanda.
I do really, I mean, I'm jumping around here, but that's kind of what I do. But
Well, that's kind of what
I do,
That's kind of what we got to do on this.
I do really enjoy the chemistry between Darcy and Agent Wu.
I did too. I did too. I kind of feel like, I've mentioned in a previous Rants or Us video that I kind of feel like these two need their own show. I would be highly in favor of these two having
like
their own show.
me and you were texting yesterday, and you were like, "I'd like to see a show where Darcy and Agent Wu just went around solving mysteries." I was like, I would watch that. That would be kind of cool.
I would too.
I would really watch that, and
I mean, these are two characters that, to be honest with you, when I watched Ant-Man or when I watched the Thor movies, I didn't really feel a connection to. But then just that one episode of that, the episode before episode 4, episode 5, I just kind of felt like I'm like, they've got to make that show happen now, because it would just wouldn't make sense for them not to. There's so much chemistry between these two, and it's not a sexual chemistry. It's just a chemistry. Of these
that's what. Yeah, that's what. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like their relationship there. I'd like to see more of that. But when I say relationship, I don't want people to think I mean it sexually. I mean just like partners. Like that type of. They have that chemistry that I'd like to see more of that. Yeah. Now, I do wonder who exactly is behind everything, because who really brought Pietro back? Because it's clear it was not Wanda.
Yeah, she said it wasn't her. So,
yeah, she said it wasn't her, but you can't just trust that. But the look on her face when she opens the door and sees him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll agree with you. That was a question that we had here on Rants or Us. The two of us have had, and conversation we had. Well, if she brought back Vision, why would she not bring back Pietro? But and that was like my biggest question. Well, now that Pietro's back, she's not the one that brought him back. So,
and I'm wondering if she's really even the one who really brought Vision back. Maybe that's what they're using against her.
Could very well be.
Okay, if you don't do what we want you to do, we'll take you back.
And you want to know something? I cannot figure out, why is she using the people of Westview? Why does she need these people? Why didn't she just create this world?
My biggest question when it comes to that is. My biggest question when it comes to that is the same as Vision. What'd you do with all the kids?
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. I've been wondering that too, and it's just kind of weird that he's just kind of like noticing that there's no children in the world that he's lived in, and he's catching on. But I felt like
he's starting to, because he's like, I don't remember my life before this town. Like,
but see, to me, that's like the weirdest thing about this show. Is like he didn't remember any of that, and he questions literally nothing. Now he's kind of questioning some things, and now you're kind of seeing, okay, she's really hostile even to him. Like, I mean, this dude's fixing to have an ex really quick. Like, she ain't going. She's not going to let him go.
Like,
yeah, she's not going to let him go at this point. And she's definitely not going to let those children go at this point.
And the fact of the matter is straight up, like, she's definitely, like, he can't really do much about it because she's more powerful. She's more powerful than Vision. Yeah. Like, I like Vision, but he ain't got nothing on Wanda.
Well, I mean, he could. I think he might have had something on Wanda before the children, but because then he could have been like, hey, look, I don't want no part of this, and she could have been, she wouldn't have wanted him to leave. But now that they've got the kids brought in there, then he could, if he tries to ruin this reality that she's in now, she's gonna be like, I might just take you
Absolutely.
out too.
It's kind of like what she said to those people. Y'all leave us alone,
Yeah.
and I'll leave you alone. You try to mess with my world, and I will end all of you.
But it's like even that, what was it, Hayward said, he's like, you've got all these people held hostage in here. And she does, she has all these people under this mind control thing. And what was the point of that?
It's like what Vision said. They're in pain. Like, they're in pain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought maybe it was just to trick him into believing that they lived in this suburb.
But why would you even need to trick him in the first place? Because she could have just been like, you died, I brought you back, and now we're together.
Well, because he didn't. Because remember, they talked about he had basically like a DNR. Like, he didn't want to be brought back.
I know,
and
but
she did it anyway. So I think that's why she's hiding that from him.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's like if you died and your wife brought you back, you wouldn't be like I'm going to divorce you because you brought me back to life, and I'm,
But I don't know. I might
be happy to be back to life.
Would be like,
I'd be pissed,
against my wishes, so we're done here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's not even really his wife. Like, they weren't married before she created this world.
See, I know. Yeah, I get that, but I'm talking about just in a relationship in general. Like, if my wife brought me back, or girlfriend or whatever brought me back to life, I wouldn't be like pissed because I'd be like, hey.
Oh, I think I would.
I'm back alive. Like, I'm not going to break up with you because of that.
I think I would, because I'm like, you're playing God with me.
Well,
you're using me to try to play God.
Fair. That's fair.
And so I think that would be the end of it for me.
See,
I really believe that.
See, I don't understand the Vision in this episode, because he's like, the guy's in pain, but yet he puts him back into the pain I guess he was in. And then he goes and he just goes home, and of course they talk about the dog and all this other kind of stuff.
I actually think that Vision seen it as him taking his pain away, because as long as he doesn't realize, as long as he's back in that character, he's not hurting. It's when he comes out, he's like, what the hell is going on?
Well, I know they're all kind of confused.
So I think that Vision feels like by putting him back into her, let's call it a wonderland, he's actually taking the pain away. I'm not saying that's true. I said that I think that's how Vision sees it. But
do you ever think that maybe she's holding the townspeople hostage to keep Sword from interfering? Like, do you think it might?
I think so. I think that's kind of what. Sorry, I think that's kind of what Captain Rambo kind of hinted at. Things would be a lot worse if she hadn't put this town under quarantine.
Yeah. Well. Fair enough, but at the end of the day, I almost kind of feel like she's holding these townspeople hostage so that Sword will not intervene in her plans. Because at the end of the day, Vision was a weapon. She's kind of a weapon herself.
I don't know if maybe she's doing all this because she found out that Sword is being ran by Hydra, though. And so
I don't think it's by Hydra. I don't think she knows that. We don't even technically know, if that's the case. It seems like it's the case. I mean, I
think that might be what they're leading up to, is that she's doing this to try to stop Hydra in her mind.
Hayward, that director Hayward, or whatever his name is, they just
Tyler Hayward, yeah,
they just made him look like the villain in this, like just threw it out there so quickly, and I didn't even enjoy that because they didn't let us come to that.
I don't know. I personally don't think Marvel really wanted us to think Wanda was the villain. Like, I don't know if they originally was like, we're gonna make Wanda the villain, and then everybody started to fall in love with her. That now they're like, oh, I don't know if we should do that anymore. So what do we do here? Like, I don't know what goes on in Marvel, but
she is a great. The woman that plays her is a great actress.
I didn't like her at first. I love her character
in WandaVision,
and I was like, oh man, I didn't like her, and then, she grew on me big time. Like, now I absolutely love her. But
we see her challenging Vision now. Like, I mean, it's not. I love that scene where that
Well,
she
they
goes
kind of
out there and
challenge
she
each other, like,
challenges Sword, and it just
you
to me
know.
it showed like
Now I love
the
that. I
depths
love
that she'll
that.
go.
I did love that scene. Now the whole her and Vision thing. Vision kind of challenged her first, and she was kind of like, "Oh, you want to go?"
Yeah, I
Like,
was kind of. I know. I was kind of like, wow, this is really
so I'm
progressed
like,
to
"Oh,
a
this is
violent
escalating."
point.
This is escalating quickly.
Yeah.
But my thing with the whole challenging sword thing was, y'all sent a drone with a missile to take out her and her kids. How did you expect her to react at this point? And I think that's exactly what the director wanted, was to rile her up,
Hmm.
to make her look even more like the terrorist he was trying to make her out to be.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think Hayward intentionally did that because, I mean, surely he would have known that a drone would not have taken her out. It just
Not
wouldn't
Scarlet
have.
Witch, man. Like,
I mean, she's too powerful. She's almost godlike. You're not going to take her out with a drone. Like, she can
no,
manipulate
no.
reality. She could turn that drone into a lollipop if she wanted to. Like, that
See,
was not going to hurt
and
her.
here's my question: if all the Infinity Stones were destroyed when they took out Thanos, have they used a stone to bring Vision back to life?
Well, that's a good question. But see, her powers were actually created through that one stone.
Yeah.
Hydra used them as experiments in that way.
And
So
so
I mean,
maybe
she's
that.
got a
So
little
maybe
bit
an.
of that in her, I
So
think.
then in that logic, or at least this is the way I'm seeing it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. With that in my mind, in order for her to be as powerful as whoever is controlling her needs her to be, they had to bring Vision back so
Yeah,
she could draw off the power of that stone.
you know what? That could very well be. See, I didn't catch that at first. I totally forgot about that whole aspect until when
I
they
did.
had.
I didn't think about it until you just said it, and
Well, I
so
mean,
now I'm like,
what there was a part. I forget if it was Darcy or whatever. She said it's this energy that's been around since the galaxy was created or something like that, and it was a reference to her powers because those powers are from have something to do with the Infinity Stones, and then of course
well,
when she
also
used her
don't
power to create this world.
another comment that kind of resonated with me was, that director said that her and her brother were terrorists once before,
Yeah.
and then Agent Wu was like, yeah, that was before she became an Avenger herself, though. So
But I'm
I'm
still
like,
kind of like on I'm kind of like on Hayward's side on that to a certain extent. Like I get it, there's something shady about
see,
him.
I'm not, and I guess that's just because I have fallen so
Yeah,
much in love with the character of
and I get
Wanda
I get
that I'm
that, but
like,
I mean,
oh, screw the world, I'm off. Like,
yeah, but
and I kind of think that Wanda would be an amazing villain, but at the
mhm.
same time, I don't know if I want to see that or not. Like,
You
I'm
know
on the
that
fence there.
that moment when she took on Sword, like when she come out of that world and hand him that drone, like that was one of the most ominous feelings I've got in
And
any
then when she
MCU film.
and then when she made them all turn their guns to Hayward, I was like, she's showing right there. I
Yeah,
can take you out, no problem.
yeah, literally. I
I
mean,
can literally take you out right now
that's
and
the
not
reason
even get
why
my
I say,
hands dirty.
yeah, that's the reason why I actually agree. When Hayward trying to shoot the missile at her was a way of goading her, not to make
Yeah,
her look
yeah.
like the villain, not to
He was
actually
trying to
take her out.
antagonize her.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not to actually take her out. It was to make her look
No,
like
because
she was the danger.
he can't be stupid enough to believe he could have took her out with a single missile from a
And
drone.
see, that could be how they bring back Captain Marvel, is make her look like the villain, and the only one that can stop her is Captain Marvel. I
And who's
think
to
it'll
say
be,
that's not to just try to trap Captain Marvel in that world, like,
yeah. But I mean,
to try to,
it could very well
you
be.
know.
It could very well be because I mean I'm of the belief that hey, Wanda is more powerful than Captain Marvel ever could be because Captain Marvel might be strong, but she can't bend reality like what Wanda can.
I agree
Or
with you on that one. I was when I first seen the Captain Marvel the movie the first time, I really enjoyed it, where you didn't. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I think the most powerful person being in the Marvel MCU is Wanda.
Yeah, it almost kind of makes me regret that they, instead of a Captain Marvel film, that they didn't make a Scarlet Witch film. Like, I would have
Oh,
enjoyed that.
wait a little while.
Yeah. But I would actually. Well, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see
I
that
do too, and
in that new Doctor Strange film.
I know me
Like,
and you. Me and you have talked a lot about upcoming projects, and I'm not a fan of seeing the what is it, Black Widow movie.
no, I'm not either. I'm not looking forward to
But
that at
I
all.
would be way on board if they did a Scarlet Witch film. Just not even with the Doctor Strange thing, just a Scarlet Witch movie. Like,
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If they did that, dude,
and
I'd be waiting
I
in line
think
in theaters. Like, I would be that excited to see it.
well, you got HBO Max, you don't
Yeah,
need
I
to
know.
go to
Yeah,
the
I get it.
theater.
But I mean,
But
if it's back in the day, I
but
guess.
you're right. I get what you're saying. But I think that it'll happen. I think it's only a matter of time, especially
Yeah.
after seeing how well they've done with WandaVision. I think Marvel's going to be like, oh, we need to get on this.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I think overall, I'm like, this has made me more of a Wanda and Vision fan, where I wasn't really that
No,
impressed with either of these characters in the MCU
like
films.
like in the I was going to say the Avenger movies. I didn't care about those characters hardly at all.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like
And
Darcy and Jimmy Woo. Like, I wasn't interested in either one of
see,
those, and now I want a spinoff of them.
I like Darcy in the original Thor movie.
See, I hated her in
I
the original Thor.
I didn't in the Agent Woo. I liked him, and and when I first seen him in WandaVision, I'm like, I've seen this guy before. And it took me a minute to realize that he was from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I think you brought it up, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the heck? Why did I notice that?" And I'd be open for that too. But overall, I really think that this season is picking up for me personally, anyway, and I cannot wait until next Friday. Like,
Probably my biggest question when it comes to WandaVision now is: did Agnes intentionally poison that dog to make those children grow? Because every time they get upset,
I feel like there's some kind of I think so too. I think they want them at their full capability so they can use that. And I personally do believe that is why they brought in Pietro, or however you say his name. I do. I think that's so that he can basically train them to be whoever is controlling it. If it's what's his name? I always say manifesto, but I guess that's not the right way to pronounce it.
Who are you talking about?
I say manifesto. You pronounce it differently.
Mephisto.
Yeah. If it's him or whoever it is, they're wanting these twins. That's what that's what the end game was. I feel like this whole world was about her having those kids so that they could,
Do you think Agnes is somebody that's working for Mephisto or Hydra, or do you think she
might be his wife?
She might very well be. At first I was starting to kind of believe it was the blonde-haired woman, but they're really Wanda not really showing.
But see, I thought it was something to do with that blonde-headed woman, but she hasn't been back on ever since. So I'm like.
Yeah,
unless they're going to try to use that as a twist later, but I don't know, man. I'm just going to have to watch and find out all this.
But to me, I just kind of
personally.
Go ahead.
This for me personally. This is the show. Like, I'm into Walker and I'm into some other things, but this is the show that I really look forward to each and every week.
I do too.
Since like episode 3. So it's really hitting its stride with me.
Yeah. I almost wish it wasn't a 30-minute show because I actually really enjoy
and I almost wish that it wasn't a week-by-week basis. I wish I could just watch the next episode like right now.
Yeah, I know. Almost kind of like one of those where you can binge watch it. But overall, what would you give this episode? Would you give it, what would you give it? rate it?
Me personally, I want to say a 9.
A 9?
Yeah, it was up there for me. I really enjoyed this episode.
I will go with I want to go 6.5, but I'll be generous and give it a 7 on this because I did feel like these last two
See,
episodes have been a little bit hit and miss with me.
Well, with me not being as familiar with the Marvel universe like you are, I get more questions every episode where you get more answers.
Well, see, it is. I do and I don't at the same time. Like, I get to the point where I feel like after the last episode that we had, what was it, episode 4? I kind of feel like I had almost all my questions answered. I kind of felt like
where I
episode
feel
4
like
was
I had
kind
more questions, and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
This time, I just feel like there was a lot more questions, like the Captain Marvel references. Yeah. The Pietro coming back. Who brought him back? What is his purpose of being back? Like, I have a lot more questions, and when I have questions, that makes me go, "This was a really good episode. I can't wait for the next one."
Yeah,
and so that's why I give it a higher rating than what I normally would.
I mean, overall, I think it was. It's still a really entertaining show. I still really enjoy it. I felt like the last episode was just a, rehashing of what we kind of already knew anyways. It just confirmed it. It didn't really tell us anything new. And I felt like this episode, it had some moments where really cool moments, like, when WandaVision, Wanda taking on, Sword agents. Like, I thought that was amazing scene. And then Wanda actually showing that, hey man, she's willing to maybe take on Vision himself. To keep this going.
And I feel like in that aspect, you got to look at it as a parent. Like, yeah, she loves him, but she loves her kids more. If you try to get in the way of that,
if the kids were
I'll take
involved,
you out.
Yeah, if the kids were not involved, I feel like he would have had more room to persuade her. Now I feel like,
but I kind of feel like
expendable at this point.
I also kind of feel like as a parent, they've missed out on a lot of things because of the way their kids age. You didn't get to see the first word. You didn't get to see the first steps. Like, they went from infants that wouldn't sleep to 10-year-olds.
Yeah, and I almost kind of feel like,
5-year-olds, then the 10-year-olds, because they're like, maybe if you were 10, we'd let you keep the dog.
Yeah,
okay.
And then they grow into 10.
Like, why would you say that? Like, if you knew your kids were capable of this, why would you?
Well, I felt like with this episode, I felt like that was kind of like the silly aspect of it, because, these kids just growing at this rapid pace, and no one seems to really notice. I mean, it just wasn't a big deal to Vision that this was happening. And I was like, how is that not a big deal? I get the other people are brainwashed, but you would think that Vision, who is kind of catching on to these things, would be like,
I don't know, because I kind of feel like he's from a world with these special powers, and so he kind of feels like that's just part of these kids' powers as they age quickly.
True. You know what?
That's a really
good answer on it.
At the same time, I feel like that would depress me, because I'm like, my kids are gonna die of old age before I do.
I know. See, now
unless they can just control, unless they have so much power they can control it. Like, maybe they could stay 10 years old for like 20 years if they wanted to. Like,
could be, but unfortunately, one's got Wanda's powers and the other one's got Pietro's powers. So
they haven't really touched on that part yet.
Yeah, but overall,
not much anyway.
Overall, I would like I said, I want to give it a 6.5, but then I'll be generous and give it a 7. I thought it had some really good moments, probably some of the best moments we've seen. But I feel like overall it was lacking in a lot of ways. It made Wanda
See, for me,
really
like I said, for me, when I get more questions,
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps my intrigue. I want to rate it higher than what I
Yeah.
normally would, and that's why,
But I
for
mean,
me, I'm gonna stick
that's
with.
understandable on that one. But I'll say this. Probably the thing that probably pissed me off the most about this episode, and it's really nothing that big, was just how they just intentionally just made Hayward look like, you know, a villain instead of letting us find out he was a villain. Just basically just throwing it out there and be like, hey, that guy's a villain. You know, like,
Yeah,
I didn't like
yeah.
that aspect of it. I'm like, let us figure
Well,
that
see,
out
and it's
along
like
the
I
way,
said,
not just tell us like that.
I didn't quite catch that at first. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I look back at it and see with me when I watch shows like this because of what we do here on Rants Are Us.
Yeah.
I don't just watch the episode. I'm like, wait, what did that just say? What just happened? Let me rewind that. So when I rewound it, I kind of caught that. But at first, I could have easily overlooked that part, honestly. Yeah. But I'm not good. I'm not as good as what you are with Marvel. So that's I kind of always stuck with DC. So
it's just I read the comic book that this is kind of based off of.
Right.
I'm not a huge comic book fan, but I have read that particular comic, and so I'm kind of catching on to a little bit of these little things. I like some of the ideas that they're going with this. I don't like some of the ideas overall, but I thought it was a good episode. I'm looking forward
I think
to the next episode.
I think one of the reasons I rate so high with this is because of where this show started out for me compared to where it's at now.
Definitely. I mean, it's grown.
When we first started doing, like, when I first started watching these, I probably would have been like, okay, episode 1, that was like a 4 for me. And so that's another reason I go higher. But overall, I really enjoy it. I can't wait.
Same.
I almost want to be like, I'm so ready for this season to be over so I can find out what's going on. But then I'm like, that will make me sad because then it'll be over. Like, so.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was going to be so addictive as what it is for me. I thought WandaVision was going to be. I was looking forward to Loki series, and then here I find myself kind of putting Loki on the back burner and wanting to know more about Wanda.
I was kind of like that to an extent too, just a different show. I was really looking forward to the Winter Soldier and Falcon series.
Yeah.
We got this, and I was like, and then the only reason I watched it is because you basically forced me to.
Yeah.
And now I'm thankful, So.
Yeah.
But
I mean, overall that's pretty much all I got on this episode.
That's definitely all I got. I don't want this video to be longer than the actual episode. So,
But overall, guys, let us know what y'all think. And as always, thanks for watching, and y'all take care.